So, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. It's a very distinguished panel that you can see. Let's listen to them again, 6 to 8 minutes, their initial thoughts on the topic. And if you have any questions for them, please keep a note of it. And at the end, we'll come back and take your questions. So, could I start with Arun Yu, Commodore Arun Gulaya?
Thank you, sir. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start by saying possibly the worst thing you can say in a conference of this kind, which is organized by RIPA and IP Bazzaar, quote, unquote, patents are for the weak. Not my quote, Elon Musk said it. It is Elon Musk's view that patents are for the weak. I don't agree with it fully. There are advantages, and Elon Musk has said this, but he's also filed multiple patents, either individually or his companies. So he's filed multiple patents, but he's also said patents are for the weak. So you have to see everything in its context. There are advantages of patents, and there are disadvantages of patents as well. So, I mean, I had a whole speech prepared about what I was going to speak, and I was mainly going to speak about the Sprint initiative. I will not, because I've been quite disturbed right from the beginning. So I'll tell you why I disagree with whatever has been said. For the Sprint initiative, those who want can Google it. I will just say one line about Sprint. IDEX Sprint was, I don't know how many of you have followed it, which was launched in the first Swavalambhan by the Honorable Prime Minister. It was a one-year thing which the organization which I used to head, the Technology Development Acceleration Cell, had steered, just a group of small 4 officers. By the way, we also filed 56 patents in 1 year. The naval officers, I'm not talking about the industry, which was separate. Just for record, as of today, 92% of all successful IDEX cases are 1 year of Sprint. When I say successful, I'm talking about inducted by cost. 92% of all successful IDEX cases are 1 year of Sprint, and remaining 8% is Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and 16 DPSUs combined since Sprint was, since IDEX was launched, which was 7 years back. So I think the results speak. We did something differently, which is what I wanted to cover. However, I will not cover that with your permission. If I can change track totally, because we've been hearing since morning that this has changed and that has changed and technology has changed. I think what has not changed and what needs to change is our mindsets. That is where the problem lies. And why I say this is because, again, in Sprint, we achieved at least a dozen global firsts. And this is again a matter of record, and many companies whom we mentored will cross 1,000 crores turnover, if not this year end, then next year end. They're well on the way there. If you go only the patent way, doing the research on the patent, especially when you come up with an idea to see if it's patentable, the prior art search, as it is called, is important. But if you do only that, or if you think that is the answer to all the problems which are being posed, nothing new will ever come. Because you cannot always look back and march forward. So if you want, so let me give an example, 2 examples here. You mentioned about NASA and what somebody else mentioned about NASA and how Elon Musk is showing NASA how things should be done. So when you disrupt something, you have, again the same thing. If you want different results, you have to do things differently. If you keep banging your head against the wall will not break. That's how Sprint started. But let me take an example of a smartphone to begin with. When was the first smartphone invented? 1973, 2 years after I was born, the first mobile phone, which means a phone which without any wires could communicate. When was the first smartphone? The word smartphone didn't exist then. It was later designated to be the first smartphone, which was that personal communicator, weighed about half a kg, was this big, and that was launched in 1994. And the smartphone with the internet and everything as we know it today was launched by, it was a breakthrough by Apple. Happened in 2007. 2008 it came to India. 2008. We are now just about 16 years from the time when anybody had ever seen a smartphone. So technology is changing so fast. If you take 10 years to make the QRs, first of all, the QRs based, some comments were passed about QRs also. QR based approach is, if you make the QRs that I want a telephone with 10 meters of wire, and somebody comes and says, hey, you don't need a wire anymore, I can give you a wireless device, you say does not comply. A QR-based approach cannot, or a standards-based approach is the worst thing an innovator can be given. My view, I may be wrong. You mentioned about the big players in R&D. I had an argument with somebody, which I will not name. They were talking about the organization. They said, we're a big organization, we're an old organization. I said, dinosaurs are big, dinosaurs are old, dinosaurs are dead. If you take the 20 biggest companies in the world 20 years back, you know how many of them survive today? Any guess? No, some do. Some do. But for that, you have to be innovative. And it cannot be business as usual. If we keep doing look back and march forward, you can get ideas by doing a IP search. You will not, I know why, I spoke about this yesterday, I think on News 9, I don't know how many of you saw it. You can't always play follow the leader. We love playing follow the leader. When the world is transitioning from the industrial age to the information age, we have an advantage. Why don't we capitalize on that? Now, due to whatever reasons, we missed the bus when it came to the industrial age, and we're playing catch up till now. Now you're saying that, okay, let them take the lead when it comes to AI. It is not that, okay, if they're stopping GPs to you, I would say, great. Already working on inference ASICs. Do away with GPUs. Do something which makes GPUs redundant, and we can do it, because now the difference between us and the lead nation is not much. But if you let them expand this lead, then you'll forever be playing catch up. My view, okay, last point, the bell is already gone, so I will not go, I had lots of things. Okay, 2 minutes. I'm sitting next to a very highly respected fighter pilot, but again, quoting Elon Musk, he's not my favorite, by the way. But it's just that, things kept coming to me because all these things I noted down when I was sitting there. He said it's the last generation of fighter pilots which are flying now. You may agree, you may disagree. What has Russia-Ukraine conflict shown? The same. The Russia-Ukraine, this thing, it can't be business as usual. Now, everybody says IDEX Sprint has been very successful. How many have you ordered? 3,000? You will finish 3,000 drones in one day. Thereafter, it comes down to your ecosystem, your industrial ecosystem, for which the civil-military fusion, your surge capability, your surge manufacturing capability, how soon people are innovating on the battlefield. From the time when the war started to the time now, the technology has changed. You cannot plan 10 years into the future. Professor, with all due respect to him, I agree with what he said also in some parts. You cannot plan 20 years into the future when you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Technology is changing so fast that you have to start doing things differently. With that, I rest my case. I had lots of other points, but one quick point, if you permit. Sir, you mentioned about the dual-use technology. Technology has always been dual-use, always. The product, a tank may not be dual-use, but technology, so what has not been dual-use? GPS was initially military technology. So was the internet. Internet was initially a DARPA project. Your rubber tires for cars and jeeps was a military project. Sanitary napkins were a military project. All these are DARPA projects.
Even blockchain was a military.
Everything. So technology is always dual use. The product which they go into would be different. Is what I feel. Technology is universal. Technology is dual use. I've exceeded the times.